Here we are with our second to last section of the road. We're going to be reading page 251 to 262. I think this is the shortest section we'll do. So enjoy, we're just going to jump right in. You will remember though, and I'm sorry I didn't do this for every video, but just to remind you where we left off, the boy was really sick. He had a fever and was vomiting and things like that. And the man was trying to obviously help him get better. They were still staying in the kind of beachy coastlands, but that's where he left off. It's page 251. When he woke again, he hardly knew where he was. The fire had died. The rain had ceased. He threw back the tarp and pushed himself up on his elbows. Gray daylight. The boy was watching him. "Papa," he said. "Yes, I'm right here." "Can I have a drink of water?" Yes, of course you can. How are you feeling?" "I feel kind of weird." "Are you hungry?" "I'm just really thirsty. Let me get the water." He pushed back the blankets and rose and walked out past the dead fire and got the boy's cup and filled it out of the plastic water jug, and came back and knelt and held the cup for him. "You're going to be okay," he said. The boy drank. He nodded and looked at his father. Then he drank the rest of the water. "More," he said. He built a fire and propped the boy's wet clothes up and brought him a can of apple juice. "Do you remember anything?" he said. "About what?" "About being sick." "I remember shooting the flare gun." "Do you remember getting the stuff from the boat?" He sat sipping the juice. He looked up. "I'm not stupid," he said. "I know. I had some weird dreams." "What about?" "I don't want to tell you." "That's okay. I want you to brush your teeth." "With real toothpaste?" "Yes." "Okay." He checked all the food tins, but he could find nothing suspect. He threw out a few that looked pretty rusty. They sat that evening by the fire, and the boy drank hot soup, and the man turned his steaming clothes on sticks and sat watching him until the boy became embarrassed. "Stop watching me, Papa," he said. "Okay." But he didn't. In 2 days' time, they were walking the beach as far as the headland and back, trudging along in their plastic booties. They ate huge meals, and he put up a sailcloth lean-to with ropes and poles against the wind. They pruned down their stores to a manageable load for the cart, and he thought they might leave in 2 more days. Then, coming back to the camp late in the day, he saw boot prints in the sand. He stopped and stood looking down the beach. "Oh, Christ," he said. "Oh, Christ." "What is it, Papa?" He pulled the pistol from his belt. "Come on," he said. "Hurry." The tarp was gone, their blankets, the water bottle and the campsite store of food. The sailcloth was blown into the dunes. Their shoes were gone. He ran up through the swale of sea oats where he'd left the cart, but the cart was gone. Everything. "You stupid ass," he said. "You stupid ass." The boy was standing there wide-eyed. "What happened, Papa?" "They took everything. Come on." The boy looked up. He was beginning to cry. "Stay with me," the man said. "Stay right with me." He could see the tracks of the cart where they sloughed up through the loose sand. Boot prints. How many? He lost the track on the better ground beyond the bracken and then picked it up again. When they got to the road, he stopped the boy with his hand. The road was exposed to the wind from the sea, and it was blown free of ash save for patches here and there. "Don't step in the road," he said. "Stop crying. We need to get all the sand off our feet. Here, sit down." He untied the wrappings and shook them out and tied them back again. "I want you to help," he said. "We're looking for sand. Sand in the road. Even just a little bit, to see which way they went, okay?" "Okay." They set off down the blacktop in opposite directions. He'd not gone far before the boy called out, "Here it is, Papa. They went this way." When he got there, the boy was crouched in the road. "Right here," he said. It was a half teaspoon of beach sand tilted from somewhere in the understructure of the grocery cart. The man stood and looked out down the road. "Good work," he said. "Let's go." They set off at a jog trot, a pace he thought he'd be able to keep up, but he couldn't. He had to stop, leaning over and coughing. He looked up at the boy, wheezing. "We'll have to walk," he said. "If they hear us, they'll hide by the side of the road. Come on." "How many are there, Papa?" "I don't know. Maybe just one. Are we going to kill them?" "I don't know." They went on. It was already late in the day, and it was another hour and deep into the long dusk before they overtook the thief, bent over the loaded cart, trundling down the road before them. When he looked back and saw them, he tried to run with the cart, but it was useless, and finally stopped and stood behind the cart, holding a butcher knife. When he saw the pistol, he stepped back, but he didn't drop the knife. "Get away from the cart," the man said. He looked at them. He looked at the boy. He was an outcast from one of the communes, and the fingers of his right hand had been cut away. He tried to hide it behind him, a sort of fleshy spatula. The cart was piled high. He'd taken everything. "Get away from the cart and put the knife down." He looked around as if there might be help somewhere. Scrawny, sullen, bearded, filthy. His old plastic coat held together with tape. The pistol was a double action, but the man cocked it anyway. 2 loud clicks. Otherwise, only their breathing and the silence of the salt moorland. They could smell him in his stinking rags. "If you don't put down the knife and get away from the cart," the man said, "I'm going to blow your brains out." The thief looked at him, looked at the child, and what he saw was very sobering to him. He laid the knife on top of the blankets and backed away and stood. "Back. More." He stepped back again. "Papa?" "Be quiet." He kept his eyes on the thief. "God damn you," he said. "Please don't kill the man." The thief's eyes swung wildly. The boy was crying. "Come on, man. I done what you said. Listen to the boy." "Take your clothes off." "What?" "Take them off. Every goddamn stitch." "Come on, don't do this." "I'll kill you where you stand." "Don't do this, man." "I won't tell you again." All right. Just take it easy." He stripped slowly and piled his vile rags in the road. "The shoes." "Come on, man." "The shoes." The thief looked at the boy. The boy had turned away and put his hands over his ears. "Okay," he said, "okay." He sat naked in the road and began to unlace the rotting pieces of leather laced to his feet. Then he stood up, holding them in one hand. Put them in the cart. He stepped forward and placed a shoe on top of the blankets, and stepped back, standing there raw, naked, filthy, starving, covering himself with his hand. He was already shivering. Put the clothes in. He bent and scooped up the rags in his arms and piled them on top of the shoes. He stood there holding himself. "Don't do this, man." "You didn't mind doing it to us." "I'm begging you." "Papa," the boy said. "Come on, listen to the kid. You tried to kill us." "I'm starving, man. You've done the same. You took everything." "Come on, man, I'll die." "I'm going to leave you the way you left us." "Come on, I'm begging you." He pulled the cart back and swung it around and put the pistol on top and looked at the boy. "Let's go," he said. And they set out along the road south with the boy crying and looking back at the nude and slat-like creature standing there in the road shivering and hugging himself. "Papa," he sobbed. "Stop it." "I can't stop it." "What do you think would have happened to us if we hadn't caught him? Just stop it." "I'm trying." When they got to the curve in the road, the man was still standing there. There was no place for him to go. The boy kept looking back, and when he could no longer see him, he stopped, and then he just sat down in the road, sobbing. The man pulled up and stood looking at him. He dug their shoes out of the cart and sat down and began to take the wrappings off the boy's feet. "You have to stop crying," he said. "I can't." He put on their shoes and then stood and walked back up the road, but he couldn't see the thief. He came back and stood over the boy. "He's gone," he said. "Come on." "He's not gone," the boy said. He looked up, his face streaked with soot. "He's not." "What do you want to do?" "Just help him, Papa. Just help him." The man looked back up the road. "He was just hungry, Papa. He's going to die." "He's going to die anyway." "He's so scared, Papa." The man squatted and looked at him. "I'm scared," he said. "Do you understand? I'm scared." The boy didn't answer. He just sat there with his head bowed, sobbing. "You're not the one who has to worry about everything." The boy said something, but he couldn't understand him. "What?" he said. He looked up, his wet and grimy face. "Yes, I am," he said. "I am the one." They wheeled the tottering cart back up the road and stood there in the cold and gathering dark and called, but no one came. "He's afraid to answer, Papa." "Is this where we stopped?" "I don't know. I think so." They went up the road and calling out in the empty dusk, their voices lost over the darkening shorelands. They stopped and stood with their hands cupped to their mouths, hallooing mindlessly into the waste. Finally, he piled the man's shoes and clothes in the road. He put a rock on top of them. "We have to go," he said. "We have to go." They made a dry camp with no fire. He sorted out cans for their supper and warmed them over the gas burner, and they ate, and the boy said nothing. The man tried to see his face in the blue light from the burner. "I wasn't going to kill him," he said. But the boy didn't answer. They rolled themselves in the blankets and lay there in the dark. He thought he could hear the sea, but perhaps it was just the wind. He could tell by his breathing that the boy was awake, and after a while the boy said, "But we did kill him." In the morning they ate and set out. The cart was so loaded it was hard to push, and one of the wheels was giving out. The road bent its way along the coast, dead sheaves of salt grass overhanging the pavement, the lead-colored sea shifting in the distance, the silence. He woke that night with the dull carbon light of the crossing moon beyond the murk, making the shapes of the trees almost visible, and he turned away coughing. The smell of rain out there. The boy was awake. "You have to talk to me," he said. "I'm trying." "I'm sorry I woke you." "It's okay." He got up and walked out to the road, the black shape of it running from dark to dark. Then a distant low rumble. Not thunder. You could feel it under your feet. A sound without cognate and so without description. Something imponderable shifting out there in the dark. The earth itself contracting with the cold. It did not come again. What time of year, what age the child? He walked out into the road and stood. Silence. The cellar dripping from the earth, drying from the earth. The mud-stained shapes of flooded cities burned to the waterline. At a crossroads, a ground set with dolmen stones where the spoken bones of oracles lay moldering. No sound but the wind. What will you say? A living man spoke these lines? He sharpened a quill with his small penknife, described these things in slow or lamp black. At some reckonable and entabled moment, he's coming to seal my eyes, to seal my mouth with dirt. He went through the cans again, one by one, holding them in his hand and squeezing them like a man checking for ripeness at a fruit stand. He sorted out 2 he thought questionable, packed away the rest, and packed the cart, and they set out upon the road again. In 3 days they came to a small port town, and they hid the cart in a garage behind a house, and piled old boxes over it, and then sat in the house to see if anyone would come. No one did. He looked through the cabinets, but there was nothing there. He needed vitamin D for the boy, or he was going to get rickets. He stood at the sink and looked out down the driveway, light the color of wash water congealing in the dirty panes of glass. The boy sat slumped at the table with his head in his arms. They walked through the town and down to the docks. They saw no one. He had the pistol in the pocket of his coat, and he carried the flare gun in his hand. They walked out on the pier, the rough boards dark with tar and fastened down with spikes to the timbers underneath, wooden bollards, faint smell of salt and creosote coming in off the bay. On the far shore, a row of warehouses in the shape of a tanker, red with rust. A tall gantry crane against the sullen sky. "There's no one here," he said. The boy didn't answer.